Welcome back to another episode on the Expand Your Awareness 2.0 podcast. This episode is all about letting go of an ex or a person that you feel like it's time to let go of, that maybe you felt attached to, letting go of a label or a belief that maybe no longer serves you. I used to believe that I had ADHD, and therefore the reality I had, was what I was getting, and I believe that the solution to that was taking something called Adderall, which is a prescription drug they give out for it. I was attached to that perspective, and therefore, that was the reality that I was in. Beyond that, there's people that are attached to outcome. So attached to outcome of what people, that's another thing, attached to the outcome of what's happening, how much you have to control it, the outcome of different events or the outcome of the actions you take. There is also attachment to what other people think. And when we are attached to any of these things, we are creating resistance in our life. And when we begin to let go of those things, that's when we then become free. And I tell people a lot, but the main way you go about raising your vibration is you let go of meaning. You let go of attachment. If you let go, it's like the bob on an ocean. You may have heard Abraham Hicks say this. If you have a bob on top of an ocean, there's a bob just bobbing along, bob, 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 and then you push that thing you push that sucker under the ocean. It's under the ocean, and the bob might be like a sensitive bob. It might be like, yo, bro, I'm under the ocean right now. And you don't have to tell the bob, yo, then just raise back up. All you got to do is let go of the resistance of holding that bob, and it just naturally pop goes back up. So really, letting go is a releasing of resistance. And the only reason you have that resistance is because you have attachment. You have an attachment to something else because you've made something that is not you. You've made a person and the outcome of what that person does attached to your sense of worthiness or attached to your sense of well-being. And realize this as well. When it comes to letting go, we make these rules, and these rules are then tied to outer circumstance, outer things. But I'll tell you what, anytime I've let go, I've allowed in a completely new level of my life. Whether that is let going of a person, letting go of outcome, letting go of what people think. Definitely with letting go of what people think. I'm growing out a bird right now. You guys can't see this if you're on the podcast, but I'm growing out a bird. By bird I mean beard. I just like to say bird. I'm growing out a bird. And this bird I had before I even started YouTubes. And I started the YouTubes, and guess what happened after I started the YouTubes? I started playing according to what other people would think. I started saying to myself, oh, well, if I want to get to 1 million on YouTube, I got to look a certain way. I looked to all these other people in my niche, even people that were way ahead of me, people like Tony Robbins and stuff. I'm like, he doesn't have a bird. He looks very clean cut. All these other people that also look very clean cut. And I'm like, well, if I want to be there, then I got to do that. And I was also caring what people think because people would say, like, go shave your bird. Go shave your bird. And I realized that in many ways, I then started playing my life according to what other people would think. And I did that for a while, and now recently I'm growing out my bird again. Why? Because I let go. I'm not attached to what people think. I'm doing things that I want to do. I'm being the way I want to be. And guess what? I feel more free than ever. I may actually shave the beard soon, but I shave it because I want to do it, not because it has anything to do with like, will I get more subs? Will I get more validation with people joining my YouTube channel? See, it's a different mentality. But that's what we need to become aware of. Now, here's the thing. This video and episode, podcast episode, is going to change your life forever if you absorb what I'm going to tell you here. Now, here is the thing about letting go. And why is it even hard to let go? Why it be hard? It's hard because you have remained rigid on the reasoning and the story that you tell yourself about these different attachments. If it's hard to let go of an ex or a person in your life, then guess what? You have an attachment to that person. You have made that person that is not you, you. And then if they don't act a certain way, you feel resistance. But the only reason that's there is because you've made something that's not you, and you've also got a meaning there that is out of date. Now that you're no longer going on dates with them. Sorry if that's a little sensitive, but it's time to be honest with yourself. The happiness, the love, the connection that you seek in anyone else other than you is already inside of you. Imagine, love. That's joy and love mixed. Love, joy, peace. It's already inside of you. It's just that when we attach ourselves to a story that if that person is in my life, then I can feel happy. When we attach to that story, that's when then if those barometers, those things aren't met in our life, then we feel resistance because we're attached to that story. We're attached to that meaning. Guess what? Screw the Disney movies. They might be good, but remember, you had Frozen. Let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. Okay? It took a long time for Frozen to come out. All those other BS Disney movies that were telling you that you could only be happy if you had this person in your life, if you conquered the dragons to then get the princess, or the princess that's waiting for Prince Charming, that has conditioned you to look for happiness and worthiness on the outside. But the only Disney movie you need right now is Elsa in Frozen. Let that shit go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it freaking go. No more attached to Disney movies. No more attached to a story that anyone on the outside is going to make you happy. Even if they do make you happy, then what is happening is they are doing things. They are meeting the blueprint in your mind, and then you're saying, okay, they're meeting that blueprint. They're treating me like a little princess for a period of time. Now I can let myself release the emotions of love, joy, peace, worthiness, and validation. It feels so good. It feels so good. But then they don't do that. They act a little bit different. And then you say, now I don't feel it. Now I don't feel it. And then what happens is they may leave. And that's when people have a hard time letting go of someone. That person leaves. And then what happens is like, because at one time they made me feel that way. Which really means at one time they acted a certain way. That meant the blueprint in your mind. And then what happened is you felt those emotions and you were getting high on that fucking supply. The key to all of this is being aware of the meaning and the story that you telling yourself about who you are and the story that you tell yourself about an ex or a person in your life. The only reason it's hard to let go is because you remaining rigid as fuck. You rigid as fuck in your definitions. You rigid as fuck with the meaning. That meaning you are staying tied to. And because you tied to the meaning, it's hard to let go. If you've ever seen that scale of consciousness, boop, the scale of consciousness, you'll see fear, anger, neutrality, courage, willpower, then reasoning, and then love. Real love is unconditional. You can let go of someone else and still have a love for them, even if they end up with someone else, because you have unconditional love. If it's anything less, then that's attachment. That's reasoning. Attachment happens at reason and below. Reasoning is the intellect of the mind. It is the beliefs we have. It is the story we tell ourselves about what it takes for us to be happy, about what it takes for us to feel that worthiness, that wholeness, that completeness. It's meaning. Now here's the crazy thing about reality. Everything in life is fundamentally freaking neutral. Zero built-in meaning. Zero. A rainy day is neither good nor bad. It's just a freaking rainy day. But we give it a meaning. Some people, they may be in Oregon. Like, screw the rain. It's always raining here. I freaking hate the rain. Well, you shouldn't be living in Oregon then, bro. You should be living somewhere else because it rains a lot there. Or somebody lives in Oregon. It's like, I freaking love the rain. That's why I moved here. That's why I live here. Or you have someone in Vegas who it doesn't rain very often. So when it does rain, people in Vegas are like, oh my God, it's raining. Because you got so many sunny days already. It's all relative, right? Rainy day is neutral. Your girlfriend or boyfriend breaking up with you is actually a neutral idea. 100% neutral. It has no built-in meaning other than the meaning you give it. If you give it the meaning that it means you're not worthy or that you need to try to get them back or that was your sense of happiness or that's how you felt validation. I mean, you may not be aware of it, but maybe that person, you felt validated when you were with them. You become aware of these meanings And you become aware that if you had this deep connection with that one person, maybe, just maybe, there's someone else out there that you have an even deeper connection with. But you got to give it that meaning. Or get rid of the meaning and let go of the meaning that says, oh, my Prince Charming or my princess is gone. I'm trying to free you from your freaking mind right now if you don't notice. That's all I'm trying to do. I know what I'm saying may not be comfortable, but it's honest. I'm being freaking honest right now. The only reason it's hard for you to let go is because you are attached to a freaking story. A story about someone else, a story about what it means for you to be happy. You're attached to what other people think. Let's talk about that for a minute. You care what other people think. Let's say that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe you know someone that cares what people think. Let me tell you about this person that cares what other people think. They derive their sense of validation and worthiness from the outside. Now, it's not their fault. I say they, I mean everyone cares what people think at a certain level. I care what people think. I have become more free recently. I am now growing out a bird because I don't care what people think no more at a certain level. It's easier said than done. Caring what people think means that if I had that sense of worthiness on the outside, then I could feel happy. Once again, it's not your fault. It's freaking Disney. Blame it all on Disney, okay? I'm just kidding. It's not all Disney's fault, although they may actually be controlled by the dark elite, so I'm just kidding. Not really. It's a whole nother story in itself. You want to go down a rabbit hole? CIA infiltrated Hollywood a long time ago. They made the word conspiracy theory to deter you from questioning your reality. They also made James Bond movies so that they looked fucking cool. Yo, honey, this is what I do. No, you don't. You sit in an office all day. You sit there coming up with terms that keep people from questioning their government. But in actuality, where was I getting off that tangent? Anyways, Disney. Yeah, then eventually the CIA infiltrated that of Disney, a lot of major corporations. That's why a lot of times when if I watch Netflix or some of the big networks, and they have like documentaries on Epstein and stuff like that, I'm kind of wary of it. Not to say, I think the Epstein guy's a horrible guy and everything. It may be way worse than what they show, but if they allow it on certain platforms, then I think there's a certain level. It had to be approved by people that may not have the best intentions. So maybe if they vet it and they approve it, then maybe I don't resonate with it as much. The stuff that you want to pay attention to is the stuff that they shadow ban and the stuff that they don't want people to see most of the time. Anyways, back to letting go, back to the other part of this episode. Here it goes. So what other people think. When we care about what other people think, we are tying our internal sense of self-worthy and love onto something else. Now, we don't have to blame it on all Disney movies, but in general, if we have rules in our mind that says, I'm worthy when X, Y, or Z, I conquer the demons, I go on the hero's journey, or when I have that special someone in my life, then we prolong our sense of self-worth and happiness. But if we realize and we use an internal barometer, an internal mechanism for deciding when we're worthy, then we'll find that a lot of times it not only do we feel more worthy more often, but we enjoy the frickin' process. So, you've probably heard this story before if you've been watching my content. If you've been watching my content for this long and you've heard these stories, I love you and I really appreciate you. But I'm sorry if it's repetitive. But back in the end of 2018, I've made about a year worth of content. I was very established in the law of attraction niche on YouTube. They said, Aaron Doughty's that law of attraction YouTuber guy. He's pretty cool, or he's freaking weird, or how does he know these things? Stuff like that. And then I actually went through some plant medicine journey in Costa Rica, and I became aware that I was attaching myself to a sense of worthiness based on what other people thought. So then what I did is I realized that I was holding myself back from making a lot of different videos I wanted to make because I was scared of what other people would think. I wanted to make videos on star seeds and esoteric stuff that would break people out of the box of how they normally see me. But what I eventually realized is that I was caring so much about what other people thought. And I had to let go of that. I had to be myself unapologetically. Whether that meant people, I thought what would happen is if I made these Starseed videos that more people would leave my channel or something. Guess what happened? Some people probably did leave my channel, but guess what happened? It brought in 10 times as many people into the channel. I went from like 400K to 600K in like no time, in like a couple months, because I just started branching out. Not being that law of attraction guy on YouTube. I was boldly sharing things I was priorly afraid of. But guess what happens? You feel more free. You feel more free than ever before. So that's the main message. And I started to define myself as, if I'm not being myself, I'm cheating people out of from knowing the real me. I think I learned that from Bashar. So, this is how it goes. You may not be being you because you care what other people think. If you aren't being you because of what other people think, you're living for other people. And you're cheating other people out from knowing the real you, even if the real you would actually trigger them. So stop cheating people out of knowing the real you. A lot of times this is what happens too. Even if people don't agree with you, they at least respect the fact that you are just being you. That's what I learned about myself. I started sharing these esoteric starseed videos. I started expressing myself, and even people were like, this Aaron guy, he's starting to make some weird videos I don't know if I resonate with. I've had a lot of people say that they followed me. I started making some of those videos. They left for a while, then they came back, and they now resonate with it. When you start making those starseed videos, I thought they were freaking weird, but then I went through an awakening and had these realizations, and now I think it's so cool, and I'm going, and I'm learning more and more, and I've been binge watching your videos. I hear that all the time in that kind of like variation. Why? Because people go, if I wasn't being myself, I'd be cheating you all out from knowing the real me. Even if sometimes I curse. I've cursed on this episode a couple times. Some people don't like when I curse. Aaron, you're supposed to be high five. Wait, curse? Guess what? I'm still being myself. You probably appreciate that I'm being myself, even if you're listening, your kids are in your car or something, you're like, I didn't expect the F word. At a certain point, though, you're like, you know what? Respect. He's being him. He do you, boo-boo. Do you. Okay? So remember, all letting go is a release of meaning. That's it. There's a meaning there. Everything is fundamentally meaningless other than the meaning you give it. If it's hard for you to let go of your past, it's because there's so much meaning there. Maybe you get a sense of significance from that as well. Something to think about. I went through a lot of pain growing up. Some people have been through way more pain than I have. But then what they do is they change the meaning of it. That's what I did. I changed the meaning. I had a meaning that this meant I'm unworthy. I had an abusive ex-stepmom in my life from 7 to 16 years old. My brother and I weren't allowed to have freedom. We weren't allowed to go out and have friends. We had to earn going to school activities. If we want to go to band camp or if I want to go to forensics debate, I have to earn it. And a lot of times I get it taken away for some stupid shit. Or, we were normally locked outside doing yard work a lot of the time. And that was my life for a long time. And I derived a sense of meaning from having that abusive ex-stepmom who was also physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive. And I thought, this means I'm unworthy. This means I felt a sense of anxiety, and I think I was always I was even more positive before my awakening because I'd been through so much crap that I was like, man, it's never going back to that. So I'm always doing better. But in some ways, that caused me to feel very unworthy, craving certainty in many ways because it's a crazy thing. There's always a payoff we get from different things and patterns in our life. I kept attracting, after my ex-stepmom left my life, I kept attracting people in my life that were almost the same personality as my ex-stepmom. At first, it was an ex-girlfriend. It was a manager. I had a manager that was almost the same personality as my ex-stepmom. And when there's a lot of rules, I realized that I felt certain. When my dad divorced my ex-stepmom when I was 16 years old, I remember leaving. All of a sudden, my brother and I were allowed to watch TV. We were allowed to eat the food we wanted. We were allowed to have friends. We were allowed to go to school activities without getting taken away for stupid stuff. I remember feeling a sense of being a little bit afraid, being a little scared. Because even when I was being controlled, I at least knew there was a level of certainty there. And I knew what to expect. That uncertainty feeling of being able to do anything was kind of scary to me. And then I realized I craved that sense of certainty, and I'd find it in other people without even knowing it. That faces would change, but the energy would remain the same. And one of the reasons it's hard to let go is because we sometimes have a payoff there. That payoff was certainty. Even though I was attracted to people in my life that treated me bad. Sometimes that payoff could be significance. Well, you don't know what I've been through. I've been through this, and this. When you have like the old grandpa, it's like, I want to walk up the hill both ways in my snowing outside and those dragons and shit. All that is that's a sense of significance. So when we look at the meaning of the stories, the meaning, yes, certain stuff happened when you were a kid, when we were younger, but the meaning you give to those is up to you. That stuff can happen, and you can make a new choice about who you are. All I did to reframe and let go of my past was I reframed the meaning. Having the abusive stepmom created pressure that led me to my spiritual awakening. It became the best thing that ever happened to me, because then I was also able to help other people wake up to who they are. So the key to this, though, is being aware of the meaning and why the meaning is there. The story is there. And a lot of times it's because there's some type of payoff there. The payoff may be externalization. Then you don't have to take responsibility. If you care what people think, and you're externalizing your sense of happiness, that might be easier than giving yourself that love or taking responsibility for the meaning and the stories you've already given yourself. It might be bypassing. So attachment to label, too, is a lot of times is attachment to identity. People used to tell me I have ADHD, and I was like, oh, I have ADHD. What do people do that take ADHD or that have ADHD? They take Adderall, prescription drug with harsh side effects. And then as I began to take in a new habit, a new label, I literally let go of one label, ADHD, got a new label, meditation person, and then that changed my sense of identity. Became more zen and calm. A letting go is really a release of meaning. That's it. Everything in life is fundamentally neutral, other than the meaning you give it. And the way that you change and you let go is you reframe. That's it. Reframe the meaning. Take your power back. Realize that you give things meaning. You are the director of your life, not just that. Yes, the universe helps direct you as well, but you are not just the cameo running around trying to be in everyone else's movie. It's a shitty role that you may have taken on and thought that this is who you are, but it's not you. Reframe the meaning. You just got out of a relationship. Guess what? You learned more about how to love yourself. You learned that if you had such a deep connection with this person, there's someone out there that maybe you have an even deeper connection with. You learn that if that wasn't the relationship you want, then you learn more about your preferences of what you really do want. You become more clear as to that. You realize there's 7 billion people out there in the world, and that you've been focused on one person, telling yourself a story about one person, when if you were to let go of that, you'd become free, and then you would attract someone else into your life that maybe even checks off more of the boxes on your list, if you have a list. If it's hard to let go of the outcome of something, then you derive your sense of validation, and it means you really crave certainty, because you want to know how the outcome happens. You want to control it. You get off on getting off to certainty and the outcome of controlling what happens. Once you become aware of it, you can then see that story and you can start to let it go. I'm letting go more and more of my old belief structures. I'm letting go more and more of my attachments. And as I let go, I become more free and I raise my vibration more than ever before. So if you care what people think, realize you're deriving something on the external when really it can only come from the source of within you. Feel worthy, satisfied, whole, and complete by acknowledging that you're already whole and complete. Let go of what other people think by realizing that what they think doesn't define you, and start to redefine it, reframe the meaning. The meaning is, if you are being yourself, you're not cheating other people out from knowing the real you, even if the real new you they don't like as much. But guess what? Many times you'll find that people respect someone that's being themselves authentically. So that's letting go. It's all meaning. It's all the story you tell yourself. You reframe the meaning. You reframe your life. It's getting to the source. Things are flexible in reality, not fixed. They're flexible based on the meaning you give it. You're being rigid in your meaning if it's hard to let go. That's it. Let go of the rigidity because you realize the payoff. The payoff is you're externalizing your own happiness. You're not taking responsibility for your own happiness. It's someone else. You care what other people think. You're merging your reality. You're being the cameo in their movie. Be the star role. Change the meaning. Be more flexible on the meaning. Be more flexible and then make the choice to let go. Let go and release the meaning and become free. If you become free, you can be the real me by letting go of me, Neen. Okay, that's the message for today. So if you like this episode, could you do me a huge freaking favor? Could you share it on social media? You can just go on Instagram and share it in story, and I'll be reposting. This is the ultimate letting go episode that'll change your life, and I believe it'll change everyone's life. If you have someone that's hard, it's hard for them to let go of a person. It's hard for them to let go of an attachment, of a label, of identity, of a limiting belief, of the outcome. You have a control freak in your life, send them this episode. I think it could change your life. I hope that it had a powerful impact on you and planted some seeds of transformation. Other than that, I'm going to talk to you next time. I love you. Peace, much love, and namaste.